Hi everybody, this is Ray at the Voodoo Garden channel. Let's get going with the tour of the upstairs. I have a lot of cool stuff growing up here and I definitely want to show you, so get your hands and feet inside the vehicle and let's get going. Okay, mango number one. This is the one in the large pot. It's the same age as the other one. This one is doing okay. It's downstairs in the dining room, so it gets absolutely no artificial light whatsoever. Just about maybe 2 to 3 hours worth of full sun during the day, and the rest of the day it gets kind of bright filtered light. Seems to be doing okay. Has a few new leaves up here. Regular leaves. I don't know. Is it doing good? I have nothing to compare it to because I've never done this before. It seems to have a nice stalk on it. It seems to be growing at a regular pace. I would say between 1 and 10, this is doing about maybe a 7 or 8. What do you think? Whoops, I don't really have this in frame, do I? Sorry. Take a look. How limp is that? It really doesn't look very healthy when you look at the leaves the way they're bending like that, but that's actually how they're supposed to look. They come out from the top and they're very small and very delicate. They get very long, and then once they're done growing, they toughen up and they turn into this. A very strong, healthy leaf that goes more out than down. This thing is growing extremely fast. It's in a 8-inch pot, and it gets nothing but artificial compact fluorescent light. Nothing special at all, and it seems to be liking it. It's about 85 to 90 degrees here in the day. Yeah, I know that's kind of hot. What can I do? It's an upstairs room with very little ventilation, but it's a tropical plant, so I guess that's a good thing. I tried doing this with a tripod, but it's just so difficult to do, I decided to take the camera in my hand. This is my lemon tree. It's huge. It's in a 16-inch pot. It's not very old. I think it's, 6 months old or something like that. It's definitely less than a year old. But it has 2 main branches. It has the main trunk that comes up, then it forks right there, has a main branch that goes down that way, another one that goes down that way, and I clipped off the tips of the growing branches, which force new shoots to come up from right at the middle. I showed this in a previous video. And then those, I think I had about 5 or 6. I cut all but 2 of them off, and then let's move over this way. I took those 2 and trained them to swoop down just by tying a string on and pulling it down. The strings are no longer holding it down. I pulled the stakes out of the ground, and now it's starting to put out more new growth right here. And those I'm going to do the exact same thing. So eventually this will look like an umbrella with all the branches swooping down and staying down naturally, and it's going to be an absolutely beautiful plant. I got the idea for this from a friend, Luke, over at the My Gardener channel. He works at a greenhouse, and he said that people really love this type of look for a lemon tree. Don't know why, but people actually like this. Okay, and this lemon gets nothing but regular potting mix, artificial light, no special care, no special anything, no misting or anything like that. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that I'm doing something right because this thing is going nuts. And right next to the lemon tree is my pride and joy. Look at the size of that pot. I know, it's just freakishly huge. But it's a tree in there and it needs a lot of room for the roots. This is my pride and joy. This is my cocoa tree. Take a look at this. Of course it has browning around the edges of the leaves, but that's normal. I looked this up and that's what happens to the leaves. So it's nothing to be scared of if you get a little bit of brown around the leaves. But look at the tip of this. The top actually started to die because I took it downstairs and I thought I'd grow it in a window. It did not like that idea, so it decided it would rather die. I cut off the growing tip, and look what happened. It has now 4 new growing tips, and these are the leaves. The leaves always start out very small, and they're very delicate, just like the mango, and then they'll get really long, and then they'll firm up, and then they'll go up like that. So I'm going to have a 4-headed cocoa tree thing. And oh, by the way, there's one right behind it. This is my second one. I used to have a ton of them, but they didn't survive the great mite attack of 2011. This is the avocado. Look at the size of this thing. It's in, I think, a 14-inch pot. And here's my hand. Here's the leaves. Look at how many leaves are on this thing. It's just nuts. There's not much room between leaf junctions. It grows a set of leaves and then it grows another set of leaves about a 1/4 inch up. I have no idea why it's doing that. I thought there would be more space, but I'm not going to argue with it. It's doing really, really good. It likes the hot temperatures upstairs. The fluorescent lighting that I'm just using 400-watt output compact fluorescent bulbs. I'm going to show you, so squint. Yeah, that's all there is. Just regular big light bulbs up there. The foil really doesn't help much. I'm going to rip that down. It looks crappy. Well, going with the tropical theme, right back here in the corner is my jackfruit. I grew this from a seed back during the contest in 2011. It's done extremely well. I don't know how to take care of these things. I don't know what I'm going to do in the future. All I know is today it's doing good. So we take it day by day, and it seems to like it right here. It has a best friend right next to it. This is a blackberry cane. I'm growing it inside in the pot. It's done okay. It's growing good. No fruit. Of course, I didn't expect any fruit, but blackberry. This feathery looking thing is, what is this thing called? Somebody told me. Moringa. Yes, this is a moringa. Whoops. Sorry about the shaky camera. I'm doing this with one hand. I had too much coffee. Moringa. Yeah. They are supposed to be extremely nutritious, but anybody that's growing one of these, or if you know somebody that's growing one of these, take your fingers and rub the leaves in it, and then hurry up and smell the leaves. The smell doesn't last long, but oh my God, it is god-awful smell. Oh, it's horrible. I don't like it. I don't know how people can eat that stuff. It probably tastes better than it smells because it smells like garbage. Moringa garbage. Right behind it is a blueberry. Yeah, I'm growing a blueberry plant in my house, and some of the leaves are turning brown, but I guess that's what I get for growing it inside. But there's new leaves. That's the light green stuff, the really yellowish leaves. Those are brand spanking new, and they're starting to turn dark green. They like acidic soil, so I pour coffee in there once in a while, and that gives it the acidity that it needs. And over here in this big old honkin' pot that makes it look really small, this is a grapevine. This is a Concord Grape. I got it at the store, and I wanted to grow a grapevine outside, but I didn't want to start it out small because I know that one of those critters out there are going to gobble it up. So the first year I'm growing it inside. We'll see how this does. I tried growing a grapevine inside at my old place, and it grew for a while really well, and then it started to die, so that didn't turn out very well. I have a better growing room this year. I have better lighting, so hopefully I'm going to be able to do this a little bit better than last time. I'll keep you updated on this. I got to back up for this one. This is a pepper plant. This is the Butch Scorpion, and yeah, it's a monster. It's only in an 8-inch pot, and I wanted to show you this. It's not very tropical, but I wanted to show you it's a very, very healthy plant. Look at the size of these leaves. They're way bigger than my hand. But what I wanted to show you on this is this one plant I did not prune. I prune all my tomato plants and pepper plants. I cut them down short, and that way they fork, and they're a lot more sturdy. I wanted to show you what happens when you don't prune your plants. Let's move on in. See, it's just one stem coming up, a very solid stem. I mean, this stem is as big around as my finger, but it goes all the way up here, and then it starts forking at the top. And it does that naturally. Now that looks beautiful, but let me back it up. This is going to be an extremely top-heavy plant, especially when it starts bearing all that fruit. So I would not want to grow this without cutting it back if I was going to grow for like massive production on pepper plants. It just doesn't work out well for me. Some people, it does work out well for them. For me, I definitely like to prune them back like that, and then get the lower center of gravity. That way they can hold their fruit a lot easier. Next to this, what are you? You know, I forget what a lot of these things are until I look at the tags. I got so many plants. This is a tamarind, and it grew really, really tall. I've shown this in previous episodes, but it grew so tall I was having to prop it up with a stick back here, and I really got tired of propping it up. I thought, you know what? You're a tree. You should be standing on your own two roots. So I cut it back. You know, that's one thing I'm getting famous for, is cutting plants back. But look what happened. It had one growing tip, and when I pruned it back, it now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 main growing stems. So this is going to start bushing it out and also Check it out. It's holding its own weight. It's half the size it was, but it's starting to bush out, and it's also getting a stronger stalk, so I think that was a good move for me. And its neighbor over here is an aloe. I grew this from an itty bitty aloe I got at the store, and it seems to be doing okay. They do like full sun, and so of course it's not loving it up here. It would rather be outside, but then again outside I'd have to bring it in the winter, and when you bring plants in, you're bringing the bugs in, and I'm not going to do that. That is too much of a risk for what I have growing in here. So it's just going to have to live in here. I use it for burns and mosquito bites and stuff like that. You just pinch off the tip of the leaf, rub it on there, and it totally helps you heal. It's a wonderful thing. I've tried it before. Aloe is a great plant. Back behind the aloe, these are not aloes, these are pineapples. These are the 2 pineapple tops off of the 2 pineapple plants I grew and harvested the fruit. So these are the babies of them, and they're doing good. I'm not going to get fruit for like another year, but I have 2 baby, well, they're not really babies, they're actually getting quite tall. They're about a foot tall or more. But look what's growing right above them. Check it out. Close up! These are blackberries. Yeah, I actually bought an Apache blackberry, and it flowered, and it's still flowering, by the way. See? Still has flowers. And I've been pollinating these with my finger. And it's really super simple. All you have to do is take your finger and go zzz. You make the buzzing sound like you're a bee. But anyway, you pollinate them like that, and they make blackberries. There are blackberries all over the place. I can't reach over because I'm leaning over and I'm going to fall face first right into this bush. But it's doing extremely well with the blackberries, and it's got new growth coming out all over the place. It loves growing indoors. I never in my life thought I'd be growing a blackberry bush inside. But what's nice about this? Thornless. 100% thornless. Thank gosh. I grew blackberries wild along my driveway at my old place, and I keep in contact with the new owners of the house. They are absolutely loving all the blackberries there. But you know one thing I don't miss? I miss the blackberries because I used to eat gallons and gallons of those. I don't miss tearing my hands up. And I could have wore gloves, but what's the fun in that? I like picking them with my bare hands, but then again, the downside of that is I would get beat up so bad by those blackberry bushes. Not anymore. Okay, let's move right in front of the blackberry. This is a Nanking cherry. I planted 3 of them in one pot. And I knew they wouldn't survive outside because, well, the plants would survive, but not the cherries because there's a lot of blackbirds, robins, and I didn't want to throw netting over the plant. So I'm growing it indoors just for the heck of it. And it seems to be doing good. Of course, I'm not getting any cherries yet. I probably won't get any cherries for about another year. But it's putting out all kinds of new growth here. It has 3 main stems, and it has, I guess, suckers coming out from the bottom. So it's doing really well. And you know, somebody asked me about Saskatoon service berries or Saskatoon blueberries. Right here I have one. I planted 2 of them in here, and this is what the leaves look like so far. Seems to be doing good. This is a relatively new plant. I've only had it for about a month. So this is all the growth I've gotten in a month. They're supposed to get extremely tall, but you know, they're not going to get extremely tall in my house. I mean, my roof is only 6 feet tall here, so I'm going to have to keep it cut back to a bush. But I am growing them here. The nice thing about Saskatoon blueberries, you get the blueberries, you get the blueberry taste, but you don't have to have acidic soil. So that's kind of nice. Okay, moving forward. This old giant dinosaur thing is the oldest plant in my room. This is the pineapple, the mother pineapple that started the whole pineapple hoopla going on YouTube. Yep, the thing is just getting bigger and bigger every day, and I have to keep moving it farther and farther away from the light because it's just tearing up the other plants. But it really does like it up here. It is acclimated so well, and it's been in this pot for so long. The old leaves I had to cut back because they just literally got so long you couldn't get close to the plant. It is a very big plant. I'm actually quite proud of this thing. This one I always mispronounce, and everybody always corrects me. The acai or acai, A-C-A-I. It's a palm, and it puts out fruit. And it's not putting out fruit, but it is putting out leaves. I have a second one, and here's the second one, right behind this ferny looking thing. See? It has a second leaf out. Apparently it likes artificial light. I'm growing a palm in my house for the first time. And behind it, I'm growing an extremely healthy coffee plant. It grew one tall stalk, and then it forked. Yeah, it did. It forked and then it's starting to fork again, so it's just bushing out. And you know, I didn't prune this back or do anything to it. It's just doing everything all by itself. So as long as it's forking and not getting too tall and bushing out, I'm just going to leave it alone. It seems to like the warm temperatures and moist soil. I don't let the soil dry out on these things. And right in front of Mr. Coffee, we have Mr. Jujubee or Mrs. Jujubee. Yeah, that's actually very pretty. Let me show you another jujube that's actually doing a little bit better than this one. This jujube is full of flowers. I've never seen jujuflowers before, but take a look. See? All along the stems are these itty bitty flowers, and I've been trying to pollinate them, but of course this thing has thorns on it, so it's extremely delicate. I don't know what happens to these poor bees and stuff that land on it. They impale themselves. But I've been doing it with my finger, and apparently it's surviving just fine up here. I don't know if I'm going to get little jujufruits, but I have a really nice healthy plant growing. Right next to my jujufruit is my miracle fruit. It grew, well actually it didn't grow. It didn't grow for the longest time, and I was so disappointed, and I just waited and waited, and I was so tempted to just rip that sucker out by the roots. I thought, well fine, you don't want to grow here? Go grow in the compost pile. But you know what? All of a sudden it got the clue and it just started growing. Every now and then I pour a cup of coffee in here to keep the soil acidic because it likes acidic soil, and it seems to be doing just fine. Panning to the left. Look at me panning to the left. This is my bay tree. Somebody sent me a bay seed and I planted it and I have a bay tree. Yeah, it's doing really good. It's small, but you know, it's healthy. So yeah, I have a bay tree. Right in front of my bay tree is my miniature pomegranate. I don't know how big a miniature pomegranate gets, but here it's only about maybe 4 inches tall. Really cute little tree, isn't it? Yep, little miniature pomegranate. I planted it in March, so it's only been a few months now. It germinated and grew, and it's sending out all kinds of side shoots and everything. It's a cute little thing. I can't wait till it produces fruit. This thing right next to it that looks like a fern, this is called a Jacaranda tree. Yeah, this is actually turning out to be one of my favorites. I know I shouldn't play favorites, but it is so beautiful and so delicate, but it's growing so fast. I don't know what to do with this thing. It's getting a little too tall for over here. It's almost hitting the light. So I'm going to have to put it in a bigger pot and move it over to the other side of the room soon. Backing up, I have triplets. Yes, I have triplets. These are so cute. These are called cherry moya. And I planted the seeds and thought I would only get like one to germinate because I assumed since they were tropical I was going to have problems with it. Boom, boom, boom. They just started sprouting like crazy. So now I have 3 cherry moyas growing in one pot. I know that was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done, trying to grow 3 trees in one pot. But I do dumb things better than most people. So I'm going to continue to grow these and keep them pruned back and have a little cherry moya bush. Why not? And the last thing on the voodoo tour, check out all these little seedlings. Rows and rows of cups. Can you guess what all these things are? Yep, these are all of the tomatoes that I talked about in the last Praxis episode. The tomato project. I'm going to be growing all kinds of bizarre and strange and some rare tomatoes, but they all germinated. I have 2 per pot in most of them. And the only one that didn't germinate was the vintage wine. So there will be no vintage wine, sorry folks, but everything else is doing absolutely wonderful. These are about to go into larger pots, and then I'm going to take them outside really quick because I don't want to have to take time to acclimate them. So I figure if I start them outside from seedlings, no acclimation necessary. I will definitely keep you updated on these. These are going to be a featured thing on the Voodoo Garden channel this year, so stay tuned. Thanks for joining Rascal and I upstairs at the Voodoo Garden. We hope you enjoyed the tour. Have a great day, everybody. We are out of here.